I'm joined here by Dave Umhoefer, one of our PolitiFact reporters, and Tom Kertscher, another PolitiFact reporter. And what we're going to do is run through some of the statements that have been recently rated relating to presidential candidates. So you'll hear several from Scott Walker and some of the others who announced this week. So let's start with one that we rated just yesterday from Ben Carson, who announced his campaign this week. And the statement was, this was from a speech he made in Milwaukee a few weeks ago. The statement was, there are more young black males involved in the criminal justice system than there are in higher education. And we rated that one false. Tom, tell us a little bit about why.
In this case, there just was not evidence to back up the statement. We found that there were about 700,000 African-American men, 18 to 24, who are in college, and about 75,000 who are in prison. But there simply aren't numbers for other measures, such as the number in that age group in jail or on probation or parole. So we rated it false.
All right, and we left that one open. If we do get more information, we would go and revisit that question. And
right.
Our next one is from Scott Walker, and the statement was that the recall elections, quote, cost tens of millions of dollars to run. And we rated that one mostly false. Again, Tom, that was when you put together.
Right. I mean, there's the tally came up to 16 million. When the governor said tens of millions, it calls to mind maybe 20 million or more. The tally was 16 million, so we rated that one mostly false. Okay,
we have another one from Scott Walker that dealt with sort of the Minnesota versus Wisconsin comparison. We hear so much. Minnesota's economic advantage has been in having Republicans in charge of at least one part of government for all but 2 years, while Wisconsin Democrats for many years controlled Wisconsin state government. We rated that one false. And Dave, that was one that you took care of.
Right. The Democrats in Wisconsin under Governor Jim Doyle controlled the whole show for just 2 years, 2009 and 2010. The governor said many years. By contrast, the governor and the Republicans have been in total control of the whole show for 5 years, in year 5 now. And that's really a rare occurrence in recent Wisconsin politics.
Right, and this is a popular comparison for Governor Walker of Wisconsin versus, it's maybe more for the Democrats to say we're not doing as well as Minnesota.
Right, right. Governor Dayton has, things have gone better on some measures economically under his term there, so that's a natural comparison point for the Democrats to make.
All right, here's another one from Scott Walker. Quote, Americans will spend more on taxes in 2015 than on food, clothing, and housing combined. And we rated that one half true. Again, that was one you put together, Dave.
Right. Collectively, if you look at the total sum of money spent on taxes versus collected in taxes versus spending on those necessities, that's right that taxes were more, 17% more, I believe. But if you look at it from the standpoint of individually, for instance, many poor people pay a higher share of their income for those necessities, in part because they pay so little in taxes.
Okay. Now we're going to turn to a few that were done by the National PolitiFact staff that are from other presidential candidates. This one was from Hillary Clinton, who said the United States is 65th out of 142 nations and other territories on equal pay. And that one was rated half true. Tom?
Yeah, our colleagues found this was a bit of cherry picking on her part. Hillary Clinton cited one study that didn't have hard numbers. It was a survey of executives saying, what's your perception of gender pay discrimination in the United States? And the United States did rank relatively low in that survey. Conversely, the reporters found that there was another study of 30 developed nations, and the United States, in terms of gender pay discrimination, was second best, so to speak, in terms of relatively little pay discrimination.
All right, we should note that you can find all of these items at our website, which is politifactwisconsin.com, and we've got a very deep well of statements, both locally and done by other websites, part of the network. Here's one from Marco Rubio. The United States is not modernizing its nuclear weapons, and that one by the national staff was rated false. Dave, can you talk about that?
Right, they interviewed a number of experts on this, and the number of warheads is down, and some experts say that the modernizing is going too slow, but it was clear that we spend hundreds of billions of dollars, or at least are planning to, over the next decade on modernizing nuclear weapons, including things like rocket motors and guidance systems. And that's about all I know about how to modernize a nuclear weapon.
Weapons, all right. That's more than I knew. Another one from our growing cast of Republican candidates is from Mike Huckabee, and the statement was, it says, Huckabee says he, quote, raised average family income by 50% during his tenure as Arkansas governor, and that one was rated by the national staff as mostly false. Tom?
When we rate something mostly false, it means there's only an element of truth. And so in this case, Mike Huckabee, who was the Arkansas governor for about 10 years, the incomes in his state did go up 50%, but that's not counting inflation. So if you count inflation, the incomes increased only about 20%.
Okay. And our last one for this run of candidates is from Carly Fiorina, who also announced just this week. And her statement was, President Obama is not paying women equally by his own measures in his own White House. And that one was rated mostly false. Dave?
Another interesting equal pay claim. The reporters did a ton of work on this. There's 460 people who work at the White House. The average salary is in the 80,000 range. Men do make about 10% more on average than women, but when you look at men and women in the same job title, same job classifications, the salaries were really equivalent, so that's why that came down at mostly false.
All right, and we'll end it there for those questions. If readers have statements they think we should check or would like us to check, you can always email us at PolitiFact@journalsentinel.com, and you can also tweet it to us, which is at PolitiFactWisc, W-I-S-C. So we're going to keep Tom and Dave around for our regular segment where we take some questions from readers. They're both longtime government reporters. We have got one PolitiFact-related question and some others we'll tackle. We could still take time if some more come in. The first question is from a reader named Biased Journalism. And this question is, all you guys at PolitiFact do is tear down Scott Walker. It's always Walker, Walker, Walker. Why is he your only focus? Why is he our only focus? Dave?
Well, he's a very powerful governor. He's a presidential candidate and doing quite well. Republicans are in control of Madison and in control of the budget, so we'd be remiss, I think, not to focus a lot on the governor at this point.
But he's, of course, not our only person. And Tom, talk a little bit about how we identify items that we might check and what makes a good fact check when we're seeking them out.
Right, you know, kind of boiled down simply, we look for statements from politicians that make us say, gee, is that true? Really, is that true? And naturally we're looking for things that are timely and interesting to readers. And an item has all the more appeal if a statement is made by someone like the governor, who is not only the head of state government but running for a national office, presumably.